Okay, this is the Crucible of Condemnation. I'm just getting off work, heading on my way home. And so I've actually asked some people at my work if I should make a Trump video. And I have gone back and forth a lot on this, but I think I'll make one. And our president is not the brightest man in the shed, constantly accused of all sorts of sexual things, and has said sexual things, yet nothing seems to happen. It's almost like he's untouchable kind of thing. I don't know if that's because of the money that he used to have, because technically he shouldn't have it. He still never showed us his taxes. What kind of person are you again? And you don't have any experience in government, yet, but everyone was saying that we needed to run the country like a business. The country's already run by businesses. Plural, businesses. So those of you that don't know should definitely look up a history book. And you should also learn what the fuck lobbying is. You should also look at the companies that support the lobbies. And you should also look at the campaign funds. Yes, campaign funds. Those are an interesting little tidbit of information where Trump got his campaign money from. Actually, you can see it if you look at who he put on his cabinet, the CEO of ExxonMobil. And what was ExxonMobil's goal? Oh yes, that's right, to drain the swamp. Remember that? Oh, but not that big a deal to you guys in the South. No. Just look at the happy people of North Dakota. The Indians who had the pipeline running through their reservation. Remember those guys? Nah, I'm sure you don't remember them. That was only last year. We forget about things that aren't recently in the future, that aren't like 20 seconds ago and don't have to do with amazing amounts of gun violence. So people are really dumb that way, in my opinion. So we've got this whole group of shit, whole thing just kind of going on, and we're not even paying attention. We're not at all by any means whatsoever. So I ask you, my friends, are we really living in a viable democracy? Does it matter if we vote? And people always tell me, oh, you gotta vote. I'm like, what do you mean I gotta vote? What the fuck I gotta vote for? My vote's not gonna mean anything, and I'm literally thinking in these next elections of not voting, because the problem is, if you elect the dickhead, now guess what? You're the reason he's here. You specifically. Now, I know people don't like me talking about this kind of shit, and they say, oh, you have white privilege. The only privilege I've ever had was to technically not be racially discriminated against, and even so, that privilege did not get me very far. And it got me assumed that I was using it in order to make fun of other people and in order to discriminate against them, which I wasn't. So, see, it's a mindset, it's a mentality in which people have. We are so focused on the shit that we do here on Earth. Like, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. We have the biggest moron in history as our president. And he is an idiot. He is a moron. The fact that he would recently just say, oh, well, I didn't know that, my attorney did this. Your attorney can't legally do anything without your consultation. Okay? That's how shit works. You can't just go behind your back and do that. You can't just go and okay, you know what, I'm going to pay this guy. You can't do that. That's not how shit works. Because if it was done like that, people would have that shit consistently happening, and lawyers would be fired left and right. They would be disbarred. The entire company would probably go under because of that. Okay? You're still an idiot. Your travel ban was a bad idea at the time that you decided to instate it. Now, if George Bush had decided to instate it right after 9/11, you know how many people would have gotten on that shit? Everybody that was not from a Muslim country. Everybody that was not from a country that has that majority religion would have been on that shit. And you know what? The entire South would have risen up out of their graves to fucking salute your ass. But you decide to do it now. Why? That doesn't make any sense. 2, The only thing you really have done was put a Supreme Court justice, and guess what? Everybody does that, so you haven't done much. You supposedly created 1.9 million jobs. No, 1.819 million. I'm sorry, that was a bad use of my numbers on my part. 1.19 million, and Obama did that 3 or 4 different times, plus he had to get up to the 3 million part. So he brought down unemployment quite a bit and was left in a pretty shitty situation. Tried to create a healthcare system, and I say tried because you have to start somewhere. It's never going to be perfect unless you do something like socialistic medicine in Canada, which does work very well. Very well, because there is no private health consortium, and if the only problem with that is if you got major shit, you'll be seen immediately. But if you got minor shit, they'll just immediately send you off with it. Send you off. They'll send you out as quickly as possible because they need to worry about the major shit. That is literally probably the only downside to it. Other than that, prescriptions are paid for, everything. And Canada has one of the least corruption index in comparison to a recent study that's been done. Actually, you know what country has one of the highest? Russia, New Zealand. These countries have a huge corruption problem. Even Mexico, which we know and we say on the internet, on the TV, and how they say it's always shitty down there, their corruption isn't anywhere near as high as New Zealand. Oh, doesn't that suck? Either way, my thoughts are that people suck, okay? And Donald Trump is probably at the top of the shit list with the fact that he said that my father only gave me $1 million. $1 million! Mr. Trump, my father would hesitate to give me $5 or $10, probably even today. Okay? That is a loan, in my opinion. You got $1 million from your dad. You have any idea how much more money you had than all of us. And saying that you had it hard because you only got $1 million and you didn't get $1 billion to start a business. Are you fucking kidding me? Most people have to get a loan from the bank, and even then that loan is probably 5-10 grand. You got 10 times what they got. And you are bitching about it. You are telling people that you are... Oh my God. It's amazing how you could have thought that this is okay. That this is an alright mindset. That this is okay for you to be like, yep, derp, derp, derp. I have no reason to care. Like, poor people voted for you. And you would take away a lot of the healthcare that poor people are on right now. So that doesn't really make any sense. And you never did create a better plan to replace that. You repealed DACA not because you fucking don't like immigrants, because you don't like anybody from any country at all. Because that, my friend, DACA helped all immigrants, all immigrant children, from Africa, from fucking Asia, from anywhere else on the planet. But because you don't like Mexicans due to your previous statement in saying they're rapists, they bring crime, remember those words you spoke, you dumbass? So now we're going to have literally this. This is my interpretation of you. You are a dumbass. You talk out of your ass. You tweet out of your ass. And you don't ever realize that you're doing this. How could you not be aware of your own existence in what you're saying? How can you expect the rest of us to believe you if you are so dumb? And I know, yes, you went to Harvard or Princeton or one of those elite schools. What were your grades again? Were you on the honor roll? Did they make fun of you? Is that why? Did you tell them you wanted to be president years ago and they just looked at you like, ha! This moron couldn't do shit. And so you had to do it in a time when the country is literally at the most socially distraught? Holy shit! And you know what? You yourself said that you would run Republican because you said Republicans are stupid. How insulting that the people that you run, that you would insultly go into their party, you already called them morons, and then you run for president and then you win, does that not prove that they're morons? What does that do? And what does this do for you, my friend? Now, I should not be saying my friend because, people think that since I'm white, I'll have aligned with Donald Trump in the idiocy of saying that Nazis are good people. I've never met a Nazi that was a good person in the history of my life. In fact, I have met one Nazi and I've hated him every day of my life. He was not my friend, he was not my buddy, he was not anything. He was literally an asshole and a shit stain on society. His negative ideology and his ways of thinking are so backwards that we in a free society should not allow them to exist. Granted, freedom of speech exists, but if you have hate speech against the president, they can throw you in jail. If you have hate speech against a normal person, you are okay. Okay, that doesn't make sense. We protect the people in government, but we don't protect the citizens. And we don't fight for the citizens' rights. This tax reform, which originally when you wrote it, I want to point out, anyone who does not remember that the tax reform, when it was originally written, had a $1.4 billion of missing money. That they just didn't, la bouffe, it gone. A child would not miss $1 billion in the fucking... the smarter than the 5th grader kids would definitely not miss that, Mr. Trump. How you and the rest of your group did baffles me to any extent, considering that you're all adults. Considering that you are all over the age of 25, meaning your brain should have already fully developed, but by then you've probably already had it set in one way, so you are too stupid to understand a mass. But I digress. This is absolutely, you are the epitome of a person that I would hope would want to educate themselves, but apparently people in politics don't educate themselves, they just talk out of their ass, which explains why shit flies in every direction. That's all I got to say about you, Mr. President. I could go on, but I will not. There's just too much. I think I've covered some of the more greater points. This has been The Crucible of Condemnation. Have a nice fucking day.